Welcome to Uncontainable by me, Lou Hutchinson. This is the podcast where we talk about the pain behind the passion and the triumphs that come from that. Today, I have, man, when it comes to possible guests you can have, I couldn't ask for anybody better. Former NBA player Walt Williams, somebody who, when it comes to the DMV and guys that came from that area and made it and got to that next level, I mean, he's the top of the top. He's the cream of the crop when it comes to that. Walt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. A pleasure to be on the show today.
Man, it's honestly just a pleasure to have you. And even all the way back for me, back to, high school, middle school, having had an opportunity at those times to even interact with you, talk with you, and um, just look into who you were as a player and the impact that you had in the area. I mean, that's something that I still carry with me to this day, and that I'll always be so appreciative of. So, just having you on a podcast today is really, really just a super special thing.
Well, hey, your mom and dad, they're great people, good friends. And so, like I said, it's a pleasure to be on the show. I watched you, like you said, since your high school days, man. And it's such a pleasure to see you playing at the college level and just walking the ladder, man, achieving dream after dream.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's only the beginning. Kind of shifting focus, kind of going to your journey, right? I mean, full circle, going from being one of the top guys in the area like the DMV to going and being at University of Maryland to going and getting to the league. If you can track all the way back to when you were kind of in your beginning stages as you were in high school, as you were getting ready to kind of go on to that next stage, what was that like, the recruiting process, dealing with, all those things at that time? Because of course recruiting back then is different than recruiting now.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, recruiting, it was the worst for me. I did not like it at all. I wasn't a kid who liked that type of attention. I just wanted to play basketball. So, after a while, I realized that it was a part of it all. But I don't think that I really took it all that serious at all. I went on recruiting visits to Villanova, North Carolina, and but in my heart, I knew I was going to either play for play at home. I did not want to leave my mom. So I knew I was going to play here at home in University of Maryland. They were the school that was recruiting me. And also Coach Bob Wade, he was the coach at my coach at the time, the coach for the Terps at the time, and he reminded me so much of my grandfather. How cool he is, and just his mannerisms. It just reminded me so much of my mother's dad. And so it was a no-brainer for me. I had a connection to him off of the court. I wanted to play in front of my family and friends. And so, and the biggest thing was just watching the University of Maryland when I was in high school, just watching a guy named Len Bias. I wanted to follow in his footsteps in terms of when we would play pickup games out on the basketball court. We would, right before we started the game, we would, yell out what player we was gonna pretend to be that day. And I remember always yelling out Len Bias' name, and if I got to it quick enough, everybody was trying to pretend to be Len Bias, and I wanted to have that type of impact on the community. I wanted kids when they played in pickup games, I wanted them to, pretend like they were me. And so I thought the best way I could do that was here at the University of Maryland. So it was a lot of contributing factors and to going into why I chose Maryland. But ultimately, it was just I wanted to be around, my homegrown, my people, man, and perform in front of them. That was the driver.
Man, and even going all the way back to you talking about, not wanting to leave home, just all the different impacts that kind of contributed to your decision at that time. Even now for me, right, if I can get my mom's home cooking every single day, every weekend, whenever I could, I would. So that I totally understand, especially, at that age, being 18, 19, for me, I ended up going to University of Rhode Island my freshman year, and going that far from home is really difficult, really hard, and really tough. Um, but thankfully, I was able to have a good support system that could help me and everything. And kind of like I said before, times are a lot different now,
Yeah.
right? It's a lot easier to go and be in contact and kind of stay in touch and all those different things, and have access to one another that uh you know at that time it may not have been as easy. But then kind of like going on from there, you talked a little bit about the impact that Len Bias had for you, right? Kids my age, you hear about Len Bias, you might see some highlights here and there, but we didn't really see it like y'all saw it.
Mhm.
I mean, the guy where you hear conversations in the barbershop and people are like, oh, well, this guy was great, that guy was great, but Len Bias was going to be the next Jordan.
Yeah.
So what was his impact like for you when it came to basketball, when it came to guys that you looked up to, when it came to that aspect of things?
Well, I mean, he was it. He was the cream of the crop. When I was a younger kid, man, I was a Georgetown Hoya fan. And my dad, he's from North Carolina, so he's a Tar Heel fan. And he took me to a Terps Tar Heels game. And I had seen Bias previously beforehand, but like I said, I was a Hoya fan, so not really paying attention. And seeing him live, man, I mean, this one play, he went up and shot this jumper, man, and I was like, "Whoa!" I mean, it was just the prettiest thing I have ever seen, man. And so, from that point on, I was just glued on that dude, and I would watch him play after that. I would wait for, like, we used to have this sports show called George Michael's The Sports Machine, man, and I used to wait for that show to come on. Oh my God, because I just wanted to see some Len Bias highlights. And so, but after a while, I just started to watch the University of Maryland play all of the time, instead of the Hoyas. And all of a sudden, I was a Turk fan because of Len Bias, man. And so, like I said earlier, I thought that I could have an impact on the community if, I stayed home and played here. A lot of kids, especially at that time, and even nowadays, sometimes they'll look at staying and playing at home as a added pressure, performing in front of your peers who you grew up with, those things like that, man. But for me, I relish that, man. I relish those moments. I wanted that. I wanted to show everyone that I grew up around. I wanted to show them how good I could get. I was just so competitive, and playing against the top players in the area in my day. I was a public school kid, man, and we would dominate private school. Especially in my league, the high school league I played in. It was unbelievable talent, and I mean, it was at least one D1 player on every team. We all grew up in the same area. So the pickup games were sick when you would travel around to different neighborhoods and stuff like that, man. And I remember playing against high school kids. I was 6'8" in high school, by the time my senior year in high school. So I remember playing against dudes that were my size or even bigger, battling on the post, but also dudes could handle the ball, shooting threes. I mean, coming at you from the wing, perimeter, all that. This was in the '80s. and so I played in a league back then where we were allowed to be versatile. Our coaches didn't just stick us on the block. We were more talented to be multifaceted. I know
Yep.
for me, it came from I had never played on a boys and girls club and stuff growing up. I was just a street ball player, just pickup games. That was my extent of basketball until I got into high school. High school was my first experience of, extended time of playing on a team. In pickup games, it ain't no just posting up and you get the ball. You're gonna get the ball very few times. If you don't know how to handle the ball, you're not gonna be involved out there. So I quickly learned to be a ball handler and being able to handle the ball against smaller guys and all of that. And so it turned out to be a real benefit for me playing in an organized situation.
Mm. Man, and looking back, I mean, even nowadays, you have a lot more guys who kind of, regardless of size, can handle the ball. I mean, especially looking in the league, if you're 6'8", you're basically considered a guard now, right? And for you, in terms of when you played, like you said, even back then, that was something that was becoming a lot more evident. Guys that could play inside out a lot more, right? When you got to the point where you were getting in the league and even going on into college, you were 6'8" wing. You could do a whole lot of different things. You could shoot, you could take it inside. You had so much versatility to your game, kind of like you said, learning that a lot of the times end apart because you go and you're playing pickup. If you're just going to post up the whole time, you're not really going to see the ball. You're not going
Mhm.
to have those opportunities. So, it's so important to go and just diversify your game in all those different ways that you could. Going into college and what that experience was like for you, right? You know, nowadays, you talk about mental health a lot. You talk about the aspects that that had, but I'll even hear my coaches now talk about especially on the court, how you gonna you know how you gonna respond to adversity? How are you gonna respond to when things don't go to your way? What is your mental toughness gonna be like when you're in those trenches and your back is against the wall? And some days you may be having your good days, some days you're not gonna be having your good days. Whatever the case is gonna be, what is your mental toughness gonna be like every single day to continuously be a everyday guy, regardless of what you've got going on? How is that evident for you in your days of playing in college and going on to the league? Because I mean, you like you said, cream of the crop, but to be the best, you got to be the best every single day. What was that mental toughness aspect like for you in those times?
Well, it's a couple of things, man. I can say number one, just my environment that I grew up in, my upbringing, my family. First and foremost, I some tough family members. And not only the men, but the women too, man. I promise you, the women tougher than the dudes in my family. So, you know, they often ain't tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And we stood right there and got every piece of it, every bit of it. And so that in itself, establishes some type of mental toughness, just from the beginning, and respect. And so at the end of the day, I think the foundation of who I am came from my family, but then my neighborhood, the dudes I grew up around. I mean, we played hoops all the time, but we did a lot of other things as well. And so, you just learn just how to be tough, how to stand up for yourself, how to be a friend to people. Just a lot of different things. Just growing up in that neighborhood, and that had nothing to do with just with basketball, what I'm talking about right now. But then when you go to the basketball part, it's just the competitive nature that we had, just competing against each other, just wanting to win, man. And especially when you're out there playing, like I said, I come from pickup games, and I played in the back of Benjamin Started right there in Temple Hills. right? And I'm telling you, that basketball court used to be packed out there with dudes, man. So if you lost, it was a long time before you got to play. Not only that, it was girls out there that would watch us play, man. So you always wanted to perform.
Yeah.
You know, you ain't want to mess up too much right there in front of the girls, you know. And so just all of those things encompassing just was inspiring and motivating and wanting me to play at my best. Every basket was important. It was a sense of urgency out there that was unreal. That you take to an organized situation and just playing with a sense of urgency on every play. Not only that, playing pickup games, there's no coaches out there. There's a knowledge that comes with the game that's internal for yourself, right? And now when you blend that with having coaches that are very knowledgeable and you combining those two, now you can go to another level with your mental game. I'll give you a great example of that. So in high school, I was a center, power forward center, right? And then in college, I was a 2-3 my freshman year. But in my sophomore year, I was the point guard. And I'm talking about not a wing that can handle the ball. I'm talking about I brung the ball up every play, setting up the play. I was the point guard on the team, right? And I took that very personal. I took that. I was serious about that, getting that, just being, having the opportunity to do that because I knew it was rare at that time. Magic Johnson was the only dude that size playing a point guard, so it was like he was an anomaly. So I wanted to show that my coach Williams gave me that opportunity, and I wanted to show that he made the right decision. And the first thing I did was, you know how when the coach is drawing up a play or he's going over a play for the first time and you're learning to play, most learn what they are supposed to do on the play, right? You learn
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do. You're paying attention to your position. But what I did, I started paying attention to the play as a whole. And not just what I'm supposed to do as the point guard, who I'm supposed to pass it to, but I was paying attention to what everybody was doing. So I was learning the play as opposed to learning what I'm supposed to do on the play. And it was just like I was the coach out there on the floor. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to show Coach Williams that if one of my teammates, if he called a play and one of my teammates didn't know where to go, I could tell them where to go. They didn't have to look over at the coach. I show them exactly where they needed to be. I can direct them through the play, everything, right? And so I wanted to show Coach that, and so that he knew that I was the coach on the floor, and he can have that comfort level. But what started to happen for me was because I knew where everybody was, where they set up, and where they were supposed to go when the play starts. I could pay attention to I could see the defense, and I could tell if they were in position or not when certain actions will happen. I could tell, oh, this guy's going to be open, or this is going to happen, or whatever. So ultimately, by knowing the play, I started to be able to know what was going to happen before it happened. And so it gave me an advantage out there. So a lot of times you'll see highlights of passes that I made and they look pretty nice to you, but it's a simple play that anybody can make. It looks good because I knew what was going to happen before it happened, so I anticipated that and made that play. But anybody can make that pass, So it wasn't the pass per se, really. It was just I knew what was going to happen before it happened, and that gives you a serious advantage out there on that floor. And so once I did that, man, it took me to another level and that's why I was able to score like I was, even though defenses were geared to stop me. I could tell by the setup. I could tell the action that was going to happen on both sides. I could see the defense. I could see if they were out of position or not. And it was because when I was the point guard, I learned the play, and I never lost that. Even when I got moved back to a wing player I still learned plays that way, not just what I was supposed to do. I knew the whole play. And so that gave me an advantage going to the next level because to be a versatile player is not just about your physical abilities, your talents. It's about, do you know what you're supposed to do when you're at the two? Do you know what you're supposed to do when you're at the four? What, do you know? And that's a big part of it as well, a part of versatility. So it was easy work for me because yeah, I knew what a five was supposed to do. I knew what the one was supposed to do. So it made the game easier for me.
And, I can kind of resonate with that a lot too. Just even on top of that, like you said, being able to make certain reads just because you know where a guy is supposed to be and what's going to happen in the play and being able to read the defense, even all the way down to the timing is just so important. When you know when certain things are supposed to happen, making sure that you have the time to make sure that, oh, like I can make this cut at this time. I can go
Mhm.
and run off this at this speed or come off this at this pace. And it's going to make the defense react like this, react like that. So just having that IQ to be able to do that and having the wherewithal and the mindset to be like, "Oh, you know, I may be running the 1 or the 2 or 3, but I know where the 4 is supposed to be. I know where the 5 is supposed to be. I know when he cuts, which is when I'm gonna lift and come off this screen. I don't know when this was gonna happen. I know when that's gonna happen." And it makes the game so much easier than just being like, "Okay, well, I know when he does this in the play, I'm supposed to do this, and then I do this, and then I just stand in the corner."
Yeah,
No, because
yeah.
then you just set yourself up to be a robot, and it's like, well, you could have went and cut back door and had an easy basket, or you go and set this screen, and then you go slip, or he comes off this action, and then oh, there's an open space. Let me go lift to get the ball, make a play, or make something happen. You
I
know.
mean, all of that. Hey, Lou, I'm gonna tell you something like this. It's as
Mhm.
simple as this. This is what I used to do when I was a pro, right? A lot of times I used to take the ball out of bounds. I would be the guy taking the ball out of bounds just in case teams pressured or what have you. And but I would be the three. Oftentimes I would be the trailer rather than like the four man or something like that.
Mhm.
So we would run plays, and it might be a guy on our team, whatever team that I played on. We always had a guy that demanded a double team. So I would come down the court. We running a play for whoever the guy the best player is, the ISO guy. And I could tell by the personnel on the team where the shot was going to come from. So, say if we had two other shooters out there, I knew how the defense was going to rotate, and I'm the trailer. I would call the guy that's in the corner, and I say, "Hey, let's switch." And we would switch,
Yeah.
and then they throw it inside, rotate, and then I get the shot in the corner, just because I was paying attention to the play
Yeah.
we were running, and then how that defense was going to work, because I knew where everybody was on the court, man. So it's just real simple things that start to come to light that people are not even paying attention to when you have an understanding of what's happening out here as opposed to what you're supposed to do on the play, man. So it's so many things that open up for the game that becomes easy for you in a 5-on-5 scenario, just by having that knowledge.
And you even going back to all of this, talking about IQ, talking about different reads, learning the game. You spoke on, how those pickup games helped you to build that IQ, help you to know basketball, helps you to really pick up on these things outside of the organized setting, really understand what's going on the court, right? To kind of pair with that nowadays, I mean, for me coming up, looking at guys that I played with all the way back to, elementary school, to be from the DMV, to be from that area, and honestly not go play in college and go play D1, especially with certain guys that you're surrounded with, that was almost like the normal. That's the level of competition that you're used to. That as you're preparing for those next levels, can you talk about how, that's correlated throughout the years and what that was like for you at your time? Because you spoke on, hey, like public school ran things back then, and on every team, you're expecting to have at least one D1 guy, right? So the DMV has just a rich history of the type of guys that are coming through, the level of competition and talent that we had. How did that play a part in preparing you just for your career and your life as a basketball player?
I mean, man, it was paramount, man. Playing in those pickup games. Not only were you playing in pickup game, was I playing in pickup games. Most of the time, the dudes that were out there, majority of them were older than I
Mhm.
was. When I was a freshman in high school, I was 5'9", 5'10", and then by the time I was a senior, I was 6'8". So I wasn't a taller kid, growing up. I wasn't short. I was more in that medium range, and then I became abnormally tall in high school. So growing up, I mean, my skill set had to develop because I was playing against older dudes, and I wasn't taller than them, and so I just had to figure out, be able to shoot, be able to figure out how to score on guys who were quicker, stronger, more athletic than I was. And it was just very competitive out there. Even it was where I was talking about in the back of Benjamin Starter. It had this in the middle court. It was huge. It was really big, about the size of the width of a NBA size court. And then it was three different full courts, but the two other side courts, because the middle was so big, the two side courts were small, real small. So you couldn't get no real bump, no real 5-on-5 pickup game there. So you only could warm up on the side and wait for your turn to play in the middle. So it just made it more competitive, just the environment there. Uh, just because if you lost, like I said earlier, it just took forever to get back on. So we would take off if we lost, our five maybe get on our bike and we go ride to another neighborhood and see if we can get on there. I mean, oftentimes we would have to ride. I mean, we would ride into DC. I mean, we would ride all the way to Berry Farms sometimes, man. And I mean, playing out there with them dudes back then, see, it didn't look like it looks now. It was on gravel out there, broken glass, everything out there, and we was hooping in it. It was good hoops, man. But we ain't go down there too much because them dudes, after a while, they say something like, "Hey, man, let me ride your bike" or something. And you already know what's going to happen then. So,
Yeah.
we had to get up out of there. so but we would come back there, every now and again. But for the most part, just ride around different areas and Temple Hills, man. Just finding that 5-on-5. It was pickup games on every court, so you could always find a good pickup game. I tell you this, in my freshman year, they changed the boundaries of the school line, and that's how I went to Crossland. My sister was 2 years ahead of me. So we grew up in the same house, but she went to Potomac High School and I went to Crossland because they changed the boundaries in that year. Had they not done that, I would have been on a team with a guard. This guard, his name was Donald Grant. He averaged like 25 a game. Iron Tucker, he averaged like 32 a game. Williams, he played in the NBA, he played for the Spurs, and
Yep.
ultimately he was a coach and everything. All four of us would have been on the team at the same time. And we grew up in the same, it wasn't like they brought us together or anything. We just grew up in the same area, just that talent level, just growing up in a close proximity. So that's just the type of talent that I played against. I can't tell you how many guys I played against out in the back of Benjamin Started that didn't even play on a high school basketball team that were incredible, but just because they, just wasn't focused on getting schoolwork done and stuff like that. And so we're just incredible athletes and basketball players and football players, but didn't have an opportunity to play on the team just because the focus wasn't there in school. What was great for me is that my mother, she was not having it. She didn't care anything about sports. She always focused on what's those report cards, what those grades look like. And I grew up where my mom, she raised her two younger sisters, and then my sister, her daughter. So I grew up with basically three sisters, and all of them was getting we were on the honor roll. So I had a lot of pressure on me, getting that schoolwork done. Throughout the years, from elementary school on. I always had that pressure growing up around them. I always knew the importance of the schoolwork. And I know I'm talking a little bit, but just this one important story right here, just for the importance of the schoolwork. My freshman, I mean my freshman year in high school was my first time ever playing on a basketball team. But my first experience was the tryout, and I had never been in a tryout before. So it's a lot of getting on the line, running lines. There's some
Yeah.
hoop, but it's not as much as you're doing a lot of conditioning.
A lot of
And
conditioning.
man, I did not like that. I did not like that, Lou. And so I didn't come back the next day. And my sister, when she saw that I didn't go to the trials the next day, I mean, she just kind of got on me about, what was I gonna do? Hang out on the corners with my friends and stuff like that. She just made me feel bad about things, and I didn't appreciate her, saying those things about me. So I wanted to show her. So I went back the next day, and they had already picked the team, man, and so I didn't want to. I didn't want to face her. I didn't want to go back to her, and empty-handed. So I asked the coach, "What could I do for the team?" And he said, "Yeah, I can be the manager." So when I was a freshman, man, on the JV team, I didn't make the team at first. I was a manager. I was wiping up the sweat and giving dudes water when they came to the bench and all of that. And then halfway through the season, with about maybe like 5, 6 games left, we get our report cards, and you gotta have a 2.0 to stay eligible. And
Yeah.
out of 15 dudes, 10 dudes got cut, for their grades. So they only had 5 guys left. They needed a sub. I got elevated from manager to player. That's how I started playing on the basketball team, man. And so right then and there, I saw, oh my goodness, my grades is that's what's allowing me to play basketball, and that stopped them guys from playing basketball. So I made that connection in that moment right there, and so I always had the focus of getting the schoolwork done, because no matter what I wanted to do, I knew that the foundation of that was going to be education.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, but I mean, that kinda goes into showing how important making sure you're on top of your academics is because, I mean,
You never know.
it's never a good feeling if you go and you put in all this work and you put in all this time and everything, and, things are going well, and the next thing you know, because you didn't take care of things in the classroom, you can't play. That's never a good feeling. But, I mean, of
Absolutely never.
of course, just moving on from the classroom, and that transition from college to NBA, even all the way to draft night, that feeling of getting picked, right? You were picked 7th overall. What was that like? I mean, that's a dream come true, I imagine. So, I mean, just having that process, getting your name called, being able to celebrate with family, being able to go and say, like, I put all this work in, and now all this thing that I put all this work in towards, like, I'm achieving it. Right? And I'm going on to this next level. Can you walk me through what that was like for you?
So when people ask me that, man, they always have a light in their eyes wanting to get that story, right? But here's how that was for me, man. Let me just start back from college. So when I was in college and going from my freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, just getting better and better, my focus was not, if I'm getting better right here, I'm going to ultimately be an NBA player. They didn't publicize where players were from, so I didn't even know being an NBA player was reality. I didn't even know that I could do that, right? And so my focus was not on being an NBA player. It was when I ran through those tunnels. through the tunnel at University of Maryland, man, to start the game, I was thinking right before I started to run out. I'm gonna show all these people today, all these people watching me today, in these stands today on TV. I'm gonna show them I'm the best. I'm the best player on this floor right here, and that's what I did every game. It was not this far-reaching thing that I was this goal I was reaching for. It was the next game today. This what I'm gonna show y'all today, and that was it, game to game, and then that was good enough to get me to the next level, and so uh, um, when I was our draft was in Portland, Oregon. It was not in New York, so I didn't get the experience of being in New York in draft night. But for me, it was bittersweet. My father, he had gotten diagnosed with cancer recently, and so he was in the hospital, ultimately dying while I was in Portland. So if you see footage of me on my draft day, my father was not with me, and that's because he was in the hospital. And so it was tough for me to go through that experience of being an NBA player because I understood that now I'm going to be getting a paycheck where I can take care of my family. I can change the direction of my family's life. So I understood that part, but I also so it was a gratifying moment in that respect. It was a great moment because I understood that I was at the pinnacle of the competitive nature that I was in, this real competitive environment that I was in, and I was at the top level of that. But at the same time, the dude that I was doing that, who I was trying to show that I was the best. He was my number one person in the audience I was catering to when I had that mentality. When I was talking about running through the tunnel, I was trying to
Yeah.
show him more than anyone. And when that was gone, man, a piece of my desire and love for the game left as well. And man, it was a tough thing to deal with, and I don't know that I ever got over that to the level that I needed to be the player that I should have been, that I thought I should have been at the NBA level. I thought that that weight right there it was just a load that I could not shake, and I carried that with me the whole time, man. But I was able to achieve a lot in being able to get to that level, and also being able to impact the area, being able to be one of those pioneers of a dude that's 6'8", being able to be a legit guard out there on that floor. It was a time when you watched college basketball that when you saw a wing dude being able to play on that wing and being able to play in the post, you knew he was a DMV guy, especially if he had some high socks on. So we kind of paved that way, I believe, in the beginning, and then you saw a lot of other areas start to produce those type of players. But in the beginning of it all, I think we with this area was the pioneer of that.
Man. And I actually read that part of the reason you wore high socks because of George Gervin actually.
But yeah,
The
I used to
Iceman.
watch George Gervin highlights all the time, man, and I thought he was just so smooth out there, man. He did things so effortlessly, and I mean, I just was drawn to him. And one time we were in a squad scrimmage, playing at Maryland, and I had just finished watching some Iceman highlights, and I pulled my socks up high out there, man, and I had an incredible scrimmage. And from that point on. From that point on, I had the high socks.
That'll do it.
I used to
That'll
wear the
do
high socks not just in basketball, just running around, man, hanging out. I used to wear the high socks all the time, man. So it wasn't just hoops for me. It was just a normal way that I wore my socks after a while.
Hey, I mean, I get that, especially from a comfortability aspect for me, on the court, I double sock, right? I have to. It's like every time I play, I have to wear two pair of socks, just for the cushion of my feet and all that different type
Yeah.
of stuff. But it's like, all right. after I'm done practice, even before I go into practice, like I wake up, I put on double socks, go throughout my day with double socks on. So, I kinda get it in a certain aspect. Um, Man, you talked about draft night, how much, it meant to you, especially how much your dad meant to you in that moment. Um, and what it was like not having him and as athletes, we go through these different adversities that affect us on the court, but also off the court, whether it be an injury, whether it be dealing with the loss of a family member, whether it be, all different things that can just go on, all different things that can affect you. For me, when I've dealt with it, before my sophomore year of college, I lost my grandpa. That was hard. Me and him were very close, and even seeing how that affected my dad, that was tough. Right. When my junior year of high school, breaking my arm, that was possibly one of, if not the hardest thing I've dealt with in my life in many different aspects. How did you deal with that and dealing with what was going on with your dad? I know you spoke on, how that shook you on the court, but clearly off the court, that has to have an amazingly huge impact as well. For you, what did you look towards? Did you look towards family, support system, um, faith? I mean, what was that thing that, kind of, despite what happened, kept you going, not just on the basketball court, but just from the day to day basis?
Man, if I could do it over again, I would have leaned on family more. I just kept it inside more so than anything. And that's why I think it was so it just wore me down so much. I didn't express my feelings, and so um You know, it I had an experience of breaking my leg before when I was in college, and what had me bounce back from that is I just couldn't wait to get back on the court. I wasn't even fully healed, and I came back we had maybe like 3 games left in the season. We were not going to the tournament, so these games didn't they were meaningless. But I wanted to just play so bad that I came back for those 3 games. I was out there limping and everything, man, just to get back out there. So just my competitive nature just to get out there and compete and hoop, man, that's what drove me. But when you're talking about my father passing, what you can't use that same mentality in that scenario, and so I was lost. And, I think keeping it inside kept me there in that state. And so if I had to do it all over again, I would have been more vocal with my family with my family leaning on it.
Yeah. I mean, family is so important.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
man, you know, that is a really big loss to have. That's never something that's easy, especially losing somebody that means that much to you, somebody that's that close to you. Um, and man, even despite that, you talked about not having, the years in NBA that you felt you could have. Even despite that, you were still, in my eyes, very successful, right? You
But
still
yeah,
did
Lou,
your
let me
thing.
tell
You
you something,
still,
Lou. I used to get busy out there, Lou. Don't get it twisted now. I had that talent, man. So we gonna get busy out there. I'm saying that the talent that I had, I should have been a several-time All-Star. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
yeah,
that I should have had those type of accolades. I should have had that type of career. But I mean, I relished in that being a role player and man, because I could shoot from the outside. My mid range, I could handle like a point guard, had floor vision like one. So offensively, I could do so many things out there. So, I could get buckets, man, and do my thing out there. But I'm just saying that I didn't think that I was the caliber or the accolades. I think that I could have been one of those type players, over the course of my career, rather than somebody who, if you ask dudes that played against me, I'm sure that they'll say, "Hey, man, that dude could play," and things like that. But I think that for myself, I think that I was all-star caliber level coming into the game from college, and I think I easily could have achieved that had I kept I think my motivation was shot a bit. I was in a, how the mental awareness, how it's more prevalent nowadays. It was
Yep.
not like that in my day, and so you just had to tough it up, man, suck it up, man, and for my family, I knew I come from humble beginnings. I knew where I came from, so I knew that this was a different level right here that what I was doing, and so that was motivational in itself, to be in that league for 11 years. But I just thought the level could have been. I think I could have been at another level. Uh, had I handled things differently with that situation.
Yeah, and I mean, trust and believe, I've seen the highlights, so I know. Okay, I know. I know you shoot, getting busy, that honestly might be an understatement. I mean, you were a guy that, I mean, honestly, you know, like you said, you in when you talked about you in college, things that you were doing, being a big point guard, being a really big guard like that, aside from Magic, you weren't seeing that.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, best believe I know what you mean. I I see
Being a
what you're
big guard,
saying. I
Magic.
definitely see what you're saying. Um,
Magic and the Iceman, they had tremendous impact on my game. Len Bias had an impact in terms of wanting me to follow in his footstep. But Magic and Iceman, those guys, man, my game was, I patterned my game after theirs. And so, being able to handle the ball and see the floor like Magic, but also being able to be off the ball and score at the clip, that I needed to score at and to give us an opportunity to win. So I think that just being a fan of those two and going out on the basketball court, practicing those things. But for me, Len Bias, he was the guy that, like I said. Um, was so impactful on me making a decision to come to University of Maryland. And I think just the biggest thing of him and his loss is that you talk about Magic Johnson or you talk about Iceman, you talk about Jordan and these guys. You can look at the younger generation. You can look at you guys and you can say, "Oh, his game looks like Jordan, or his game looks like Magic, or he plays like Ice." You never hear guys go, "Oh, he played like Bias." And that's a shame, man. This dude was so dominant, but he never got the chance to play on that stage at the NBA level where dudes can see him all over the country so they can copy the way he played. And so he was before his time, being a stretch four and how pretty his jump shot looked like a guard, and the way he just played, how athletic he was, how high he got off the ground for a jump shot. The biggest shame is that the nation didn't get a chance to see him so that the younger generation could have mimicked the way he played. We would have got to a stretch four, that environment in the NBA. We would have got to that a lot sooner if he had been alive. You would have seen guys, bigger guards, being able to shoot the ball from the outside a lot sooner uh, with I'm talking power forward bodies, but being able to have that guard game. You would have saw that a lot sooner in the at the NBA level, had this guy been alive. That's a huge loss for the not only us personally as a community, but to the game as a whole. That we didn't get an opportunity, that the world didn't get an opportunity to see this man play.
mm, nah, I mean, you you said it perfectly, and the amount of times I've even just heard that. Um, I mean, like we kind of said before, you go back to that time, guys were talking about Len Bias as, hey, like this guy's about to rise, as, hey, this
Yeah,
he's gonna be the next guy. So I mean,
yeah, he's
yeah,
bigger, stronger and he was just as athletic as Jordan was, but he was bigger and stronger. So yeah. And he
Really
could shoot
kind of,
better. He could shoot better than Jordan too.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. So man, as we kind of just come to a close here, I'll kind of just get to the end of where we're at. Man, I want to ask you, for you, your experiences, college, NBA, you know, doing what you've, done in the DMV in your career, after your career, all the impact you've had, taking all of that. For you, what does it mean to be uncontainable?
Man, what it mostly mean to me is being an example for the younger guys to come behind and have success, follow a blueprint, and then make their own tweaks, make their own path. And so it's been a pleasure, to watch that. It's been a pleasure to watch, guys like Lawrence Moten come behind me and carve out a path for himself to a high degree, and just do it at a high level and watch guys like Lamar Johnson, just these guys just come right one after another. Just another example of a big guy being able to have this versatility as a guard, had a high socks, just all of that, just encompassing the DMV, just representing, man. And it's awesome to be able to see those guys come right behind and do that and do it at a high level. And for me, I just growing up and playing against so many great players and with them, you just think to yourself, man, how was it I getting to this next level? And I can always go back to the very beginning, man. Just being a little kid running around, just going to church every Sunday, man. I remember doing that. Even days when I didn't feel like it. My mom had me in my Sunday suit, my polyester Sunday suit. And we'd be in church, man, and just subliminally wasn't paying attention, but just understanding as a kid and just being it absorbed in your spirit the power of prayer, man, and always carrying that with me throughout. Whenever going into competition or going into anything that I have any apprehension about, and that I want the Lord to be with me. I don't hesitate to pray for a moment, man, with anything, and I think that I've always done that, and I've had success in my life, and so I just feel like just always giving the honor to the Lord, man. I think that it helps you stay on path, whatever that is. And when you stay on your path, then you're gonna reach your own successes, whatever that is. You're gonna have success in your path, and I truly believe that because it's happened in my life.
And that's powerful. So very powerful. And man, I just want to thank you one more time, once again, for joining me today. It's been an honor and a blessing. And, I I couldn't have asked for, a better person to go and join me today and be on the podcast. So thank you once again, man. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's been a pleasure. It's absolutely amazing to see you looking like a grown man over there, man. I mean, I see all the muscles popping through the shirt and everything, man. So I can't wait to see you play this season, man. And so good luck to you. Uh, Blessings, man, and just keep working, all right?
Yes, sir. Always, 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 always.
Yes.
And, just for those watching, this has been Uncontainable Podcast by me, Lou Hutchinson. Um, and please subscribe. Stay tuned for more.